Things are a little gloomy on the tennis front as the Spanish champion Manuel Santana took his last breath back on the 11th of December 2021. In this video, we'll tell you all about Manuel and his death, and also let you in on other tennis news that you might have missed. Did you know how Manolo got into the game? It's a really interesting story, so stay tuned to the end of the video to find out. Firstly, Spanish trailblazer dies at 83. Manuel Santana, more commonly known as Manolo, was the first person from Spain to win a Grand Slam singles title. He also managed to reach number 1 in tennis ranking during his career. On Saturday, the Madrid Open, where he held the honorary position of the president, announced that he had passed away at his home in Marbella, southern Spain, on Saturday, December 11th, 2021, not disclosing the cause. Santana was a big name in the tennis world. He secured 4 major singles championships, namely the French Championship since 1961 and 1964, the U.S. Championship in 1965, and Wimbledon in 1966, which was also the year in which he reached the number 1 ranking. The tennis world mourns. Manuel was greatly appreciated in the tennis community, who regarded him as a legend. Late president of the International Olympic Committee, Juan Antonio Samaranch, also praised him in his memoirs, saying that not only did Manuel give glory days to sport in Spain, with his numerous victories such as those at Wimbledon and the Roland Garros, not to forget the notable performances in the Davis Cup, but he also had a hand in promoting the Davis Cup, tons of tennis courts, and thousands of players hailing from their country. It was only natural that people grieved him when they heard about his death. The Spanish royal household commented that in the world of tennis, geniuses are not likely to be rewarded, but Manolo managed to be one that did, and also commended him for inventing one of the strokes that tennis players use a lot, the backhand topspin lob. Rafael Nadal, fellow Spaniard and 20-time Grand Slam winner, also contributed to the flood of condolences on social media, tweeting in Spanish that everyone will miss Manolo and that he will always remain special and one of a kind. Nadal further gave him a lot of thanks for helping their country and paving the way for other tennis players. "You were always my role model, a friend, and someone who was close to all of us," he added. More people join in. Female Spanish tennis player Garbiñe Muguruza uploaded a photo of her with an elderly Santana and thanked him for his friendliness and for being a good mentor. The 2-time Grand Slam winner gave her condolences to his family and loved ones, added that he was a pioneer for everyone in Spanish tennis. Spain's king and prime minister also reiterated Nadal's thoughts, saying that Manuel was a legend and will always be one. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez shone a light on the Spanish champion's achievements, saying that he won as many as 72 tournaments along with an Olympic gold medal and became a tennis legend and one of the best athletes Spain has ever had. American tennis player Billie Jean King, who also won her first Wimbledon title beside Santana back in 1966, fondly recalled a memory she had of him where she and Manuel danced at the first dance at the ball. Next, we're covering Manuel's magnificence. Let's talk a bit about Manuel Santana's achievements throughout his tennis career. One surprising fact is that Santana turned down offers to become a professional when he and his Davis Cup partner Andres Gimeno were asked and moved on to become one of the most important names on the Shamateur Tour of the 1960s. In 1961, the Olympic gold medalist defeated the top 3 players and grabbed the 1961 French title. He knocked out Roy Emerson, the number 3 player, in the quarterfinals and had a 5-set semifinal with the number 2 player Rod Laver, where he won the last 11 games. The final was against the 2-time champion and number 1 Nicola Pietrangeli. Manuel was down on sets 2-1, but won the last 2 6-love, 6-2. He was so happy about this that he cried for an hour afterward. What was interesting was that he defeated Pietrangeli again in the 1964 final and attained his 2nd French crown. In 1965, Santana moved on to become the first European man to win the U.S. title since 1928. In the final game, he only had to play 4 sets with Cliff Drysdale. The Wimbledon and more. To focus on Wimbledon, Manuel skipped the French Championships in 1966. The games were tough, but he came out victorious, becoming the first men's champion from Spain. On the International Tennis Hall of Fame site, he is quoted as saying that he was very happy he won this one because all the players aimed to get a Wimbledon title. At another place, he said that Wimbledon was the biggest of his 4 Grand Slam singles victories. Manuel Santana made his Davis Cup debut at 19 and is still Spain's record holder for the most number of ties and most wins in singles and doubles. The Spanish champion became part of the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1984. Now, let's move on to other tennis news that you might like to know. Bernard Tomic speaks out about the Hewitt feud and the biggest regret of his life. Bernard Tomic has been on a conscience-cleaning route for quite some time now, as we are all aware, and on Tuesday night he continued with another series of honest confessions for those who like to keep up to date with the athlete. This time, the Australian tennis player addressed his bumpy relationships with Leighton Hewitt and Vanessa Sierra, among many other things. Though former world number 17 had been in hot water with the Aussie tennis legend and current Davis Cup captain Leighton Hewitt, who he had accused of favoring certain players in his selections for the Davis Cup back in 2019. But on Tuesday, it was like Tomic was a whole new person. He expressed his interest in patching things up with Hewitt and commented that he had contributed a lot lot to tennis. His on and off relationship with the former reality TV contestant was actually the first thing he addressed. The 29-year-old appeared in some sexually suggestive photos on Sierra's Instagram page, as well as an adult content site. When fans inquired about it, he dismissed the questions by indirectly categorizing them as not that interesting. The stunt he pulled on OnlyFans was a popular question, to which he replied with a photo of him burying his face in his hands, captioning it with, "Biggest regret of my life." Andy Murray talks about Novak Djokovic's stance on disclosing vaccination status. It was announced by the local government officers that in order to participate in next month's Australian Open, candidates must provide proof of having obtained the vaccine. We all know that Serbian tennis player Novak Djokovic was a little on the fence about the clause, saying that he does not want to publicly reveal his vaccination status and that it was a private medical matter. Due to this, people were wondering if he would be defending his title in Melbourne next month. However, when the entry list for the tournament was released, it was apparent that world number one was not going to be missing the Australian Open after all. When Andy Murray was inquired about what he thought of this, he said that although he was not aware of what was going on with Novak, he believed that his name on the entry list suggested that he had been vaccinated. He also added that everyone wants all the best players playing in the biggest events to make the events more interesting, and also praised Djokovic for having a phenomenal record in the tournament, commenting that the Serbian champion may even end up winning the 21st Slam. Among the speculations of whether Novak got the jab or not, the world champion was spotted watching a basketball game in Serbia on Tuesday. It's not known if being vaccinated was a prerequisite there yet, but there were about 30,000 people in the audience. Make of that what you will. Emma Raducanu tests positive for COVID-19. Emma Raducanu tested positive for COVID-19, which put a halt to her preparations for the Australian Open taking place next month. The 19-year-old became the first qualifier in history to win the Women's U.S. Open Grand Slam title. In light of the test, she was forced to withdraw from the Marbella World Tennis Championship in Abu Dhabi happening this week, which was unfortunate because Emma had already traveled to the United Arab Emirates. World number 19 said that she was sad she would not be playing in front of fans in Abu Dhabi, but hoped for a good recovery to be able to travel to Australia for the first Grand Slam tournament of 2022. So how did Manolo get into tennis? The Madrid-born tennis player was, funnily enough, a ball boy before he was a tennis player. He picked up the sport unintentionally after bringing a meal to his brother who was working at a tennis club in Madrid. According to Santana, the men who were playing the game charmed him, and the rest was history. To the newspaper El Español, he said, "In the end, I'm an example of humility in an elitist world." And that's all we have for you today. Who are you rooting for in the Australian Open? Let us know in the comments down below. And make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you'd like to hear more from us. Bye.